So good afternoon, good morning, and I
Good,
guess, Lucia, good evening to you in Europe, and welcome everybody to our new Alliance year. Thank you so much for taking time to join this call that I'll be able to kind of give an orientation session for our council and committee as we go into this new year. So my goal is really to give you just some basic information to help you as you start to meet and tackle the work that's ahead of us. So this review will be for those of you who are like veterans. It will not be a lot of information. You might pick up a little tidbit here or there, but for those of you who are really, this is your first time serving at national, or you've taken a break and are coming back, it might be helpful to see how we've kind of changed things and how we're operating now. So just a few housekeeping notes. Go ahead and mute yourself. Feel free to unmute. If you do have a question, you can always drop a question in the chat, and Pat will be watching that. So she'll keep an eye out on that, and we can address questions as we go through, because I do truly want this to be, interactive as possible without being, having too many screaming cats or, screaming children in the background or grandchildren. So we'll go ahead and get started here. So yes, welcome to the orientation. Our mission is the AMAA Alliance is to build healthier communities by connecting physician families and collaborating to educate and advocate. So our core values are connect, educate, advocate. We operate under a, historically has been a 6-system kind of mode. And we started using that operational model back when Pat Troy with Next Wave Group came to us and kind of started instituting that. But with the bylaws change just this year, we're adding a 7th system, and that's of advocacy and legislation. So obviously our beautiful infographic will have to be updated. So we'll get to work on that as we go into this year. So again, the 7 systems, we have advocacy and legislation, a new council this year, split out from programs, finance council that's chaired by our treasurer, the membership council, we have Ron Jaggers leading that membership council. We have membership welcoming, and Sanford does a great job with that. Membership engagement, we're having the regional reps are under that, and also a new committee that's being led by Sue Ann Greco, and that's of leadership mentoring committee. So kind of pulling some of the rich resources we have in our past national presidents to mentor state and county leaders. So we're developing that this year. Then moving on to the Communications Council, we have a whole lot of activity within communications. As you know, we have our website, both a public-facing website as well as a members-only website. We have our magazine that's now celebrating its 10th year, Physician Family Magazine, which is combined with Alliance in Motion magazine to be one magazine. We have our Facebook groups, both the public-facing as well as the members-only Facebook group. You are getting link newsletters typically every month, and then the loop for those at the national leadership level. That loop gives a little more information about what's going on specifically within the organization. And of course, social media, like I said, we have our public facing and our members only Facebook page. Moving on to Governance Council, we have 3 subcommittees under that. The Bylaws Committee, led by our Secretary, Dinah Goldenberg. Nominating Committee is being led by our past president, Jacqueline. And then Strategic Planning is composed of the board, basically working on that. Around the wheel, next we have Programs. And Programs is being led by Libby White, and includes both the Physician Family Health and Wellness Committee, as well as health initiatives. We also include grants and awards, as well as a project bank and online academy under Programs. So it's a lot of activity under Programs. Events is led by our events chair, Rick Knapp, and it comprises the annual meeting, the board retreat, the virtual leadership event that we'll plan for this year, as well as our all-member Zoom calls. So this has to be updated because we kind of changed what we're doing a bit. But again, that gives you kind of an idea of the different systems, the different organizations within the Alliance that are operating. And we really want to think of this as being collaborative, where we're not into these little silos, but we're actually crossing and cross-pollinating and working together for the advancement of the Alliance. So I'd like to introduce our 2023-2024 board. I'm Rachel Kunish in North Carolina. Pat Kletke is on, my chief technology expert here, manning the admission room. Thanks, Pat. Jacqueline, of course, is our past president. And Dinah Goldenberg is here joining us. Thanks, from Nevada. Nancy Fody, our treasurer from Michigan. I believe I saw Nancy also join. And then moving on to our council chairs and directors. Beth Irish is serving as the chair of Advocacy and Legislation Council. Kirby Sheridan from North Carolina is heading up communications. Rick Knapp is also, I don't think Rick is joining us yet today, but he is the director for the Events Council. Ron Jaggers from South Carolina is
I'm here.
Oh, sorry.
Rick is here.
Hey, Rick. Good. Yeah. Thank you. Great. Sorry, I was like going, I can't see everybody. So awesome. Thank you so much, Rick. Wait, if you'd like to say hi to everybody, go ahead. Have a shout out.
Hi, everybody. I can't see anybody but Rachel, but hi.
I know, I'm such a camera hog. Thank you, Rick. From South Carolina, Ron Jaggers is our membership council director. Libby is our director for programs council. And then finally, Suzanne Manning is our representative from AHEI. So the first thing I kind of want to bring to your attention is the governing documents for the AMA Alliance. Really, I'd like you all to become familiar with these documents. And if you go to the website, our members only website, you would go under the National Alliance tab and then scroll down to, in the drop down to governing documents. And that will take you to a landing page that basically has links to our all of our governing documents. So the first one, Articles of Incorporation, probably not necessarily something you have to read, but it is out there for you to look at. Important that you look at bylaws. And I just have to say right now, the updated bylaws are not yet on the website. We're still working on getting the formatting up, but that you should see that in the next, I would hope by next week. But please do become familiar with our bylaws. Procedure for National Personnel is a great guide to kind of give you the scope of work of your councils and committees as you look through the PNP, and that we revisit every year and can update as the board can approve updates to PNP. The service letter agreement is out there as well, and I think you all have received correspondence from Dinah to read through that service letter of agreement, and hopefully you do agree and we'll be getting that back to Dinah. The conflict of interest policy and annual statement also is out there, and that applies largely to the board and the finance council. So most of you don't necessarily need to worry about that one, but again, review it just for awareness. We also have the annual meeting procedure, which again, we try to look at every year and make sure it's accurately reflects our operation. Financial policies and procedures, and that really guides finance council. So Nancy keeps an eye on that and updates that as needed. And finally, the AMA Code of Conduct. We, of course, are under the AMA, and so we need to ensure that we are compliant with their guide on Code of Conduct. So your role as a council and committee member or committee member, and this is pretty much taken from the service letter of agreement. Firstly, really to be an ambassador of the AMA Alliance. So convey the organization's work and value to your local state alliances, or if you're a member at large, if you happen to be able to run into someone whom you see as a fellow alliance member. So really act as an ambassador. And it's interesting, got a text from Jenny Shepard from Texas, who's serving on our Advocacy and Legislation Council. She was in Sicily, Italy, and ran into someone, a spouse, a physician spouse, who was going to be moving to Nashville. So we gave her contact information for Amanda Barron and Michelle Hsu that have worked, with annual meeting. So just, as you're out there, you never know when you're going to run into someone that you can try to educate and about the AMA Alliance, and also, just let them know, hey, this is an organization, you really should join us. So please do be our ambassador. Secondly, comply with the duties and responsibilities of the position as set forth in the bylaws and PNP. So again, governing documents, good things to know. Attend all council or committee meetings as set forth in the PNP. And out of courtesy to your chair, please do let them know if you can't make a meeting. I know things come up, and just make sure you let them know. It's a nice courtesy. If you're called on to provide reports, do so in a timely manner. Represent the AMA Alliance during your term of service, supporting the decisions of the membership and the board, even when you may personally disagree. And this is where we just need to really be doing the work of the organization. And although we value our individual opinions, at the end of the day, if we decide on a certain direction, we all need to just come along and do the best we can to contribute to that direction. And finally, if you're unable to fulfill the obligations of of your role, meet with the chair of your committee and just, kind of talk through it, including up to resignation. Things come up, I understand, during the year. If something does come up, let's work together and see either we can, try to be flexible in how you're fulfilling the role on the council, or if you really need to take a break, we have to also be respectful of that, because we are all volunteers. Some housekeeping notes, and here I'm going to turn it over to my lovely assistant, Dinah, so you can hear a new voice. Dinah.
Thank you, Rachel. So back up. You switched. There we are. No, I don't know what you did. Anyway, one of the things that wasn't on my slide that that Rachel did mention is the service letter of agreement. So, you obviously all got an email from me about that, and I appreciate everyone who's acted on it already. I'm out of the country, and when I get back on Friday, I will update my list, and anyone who I have not received one for will get another reminder. And then after that, it'll be your council or committee chairs that will be chasing you if I don't get it. Again, I wanted to clarify, because there was some confusion for some folks. Every single person who serves on a committee, the board, or a council must fill out a service letter of agreement. But the conflict of interest is only for the board and the finance committee. And there was some folks who thought by sending just the service agreement that was all they needed. So I just wanted to clarify that. So if you're on the finance council or the board, you need to do both documents. So Google Drive, the Alliance has shifted over the last few years to collecting all of our documents, our working documents, in the Google Drive. And each council and committee has their own Google Drive that they can keep necessary documents, minutes, whatever the case is. I have, before I left, I had started populating all of the individual council and committee drives with all the pertinent templates, the minutes for agendas, for board reports, anything else that might be relevant to your specific committee, plus the full list of all committee and council members because we should all know who's on which committee. Back to Rachel's point of it being a collaboration, not working in silos. So bear with me. It'll probably take me another week before I get it all finished. And then the chair will share as needed information with the rest of you. I'm also the keeper of the Zoom calendar, which means that committees, subcommittees, task forces, etc., who need to schedule Zoom meetings with their colleagues need to go through me first. Eventually, I'll be sharing the master calendar with you, so you'll be able to see what's already been selected and request something that's open. But in the meantime, before you try and schedule anything on your own, please contact me. I mentioned the templates. So Rachel also mentioned there are 2 monthly newsletters, the link, which everybody, all members at all levels get, but the loop is our internal newsletter. Last year, Karen more or less oversaw and wrote the whole loop herself based on board reports, but I'm not sure I'm going to take the same tack. So we'll see. But I will be sending out dates for when I need information. But the main focus of the loop is if you or your committee, somebody's what the governor. Oh, there, good. Okay, they're up.
Dinah got muted.
Okay, there. Sorry. Can you hear me now? Verizon, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Anyway, if you have information from your committees or councils that you want communicated to everyone within the communication, the council committee structure, send that information to me. And the loop is the best way to know that everyone will get that information once a month. And then the new mailing address, you've all received a info flash. The management company changed their mailing address, which obviously affects our mailing address. Please make sure that you have the correct mailing address in all of your reference materials. Last year, we had a few glitches when there was an address change and some alliances didn't get the memo, so to speak, and checks and things went to the wrong address. So with 2 mailing addresses within 2 years, it may be confusing for folks, particularly since this one changes only the street address and the suite address, but the street is still the same. So please take special note of that. Other than that, I think that's all for me. I'll be happy to answer questions if you have any when Rachel's done. Thank you.
Thanks, Dinah. I appreciate that. I see some things in the chat. Is there anything that, Pat, that we need to address before we go on?
So there's one question here, if necessary, can we use our own Zoom account? So the preference is that for all official business that we use the national Zoom account. We all understand that if the 2 groups absolutely have to have a meeting at the same time, that, that's a extenuating circumstance. But if possible, the preference is for everyone to use the national Zoom account. There's lots of space. I think you'll be fine unless there's an emergency and something has to be done in a short time frame and somebody else has that time frame booked. But that's the general request.
And there is a question about when does Loop come out? Is it a set time deadline, yes, or does that vary?
Yeah,
Yes.
so the goal is for it to come out the second Wednesday of the month. So I will be, when I get back, I'll be setting up a deadlines for when the stuff when I need the information, and I'll be sure to circulate that to everyone. But in general, a week before it goes out. So the first Wednesday of the month, for a second Wednesday of the month is probably what I'll be asking for. But I have to look at the calendar and see what else is going on so that it's a reasonable request for when people might have the information.
And Nancy, did I answer your question clearly enough? Nancy Fody asked, does that mean only one Zoom meeting can be held at a time? Obviously, if you're using a different number and it's a time that works for your entire committee and you'd have no choice, but Rachel and I are both ex officio and are supposed to be on everything, or at least have the ability to be on everything. And that doesn't work so well if there are 2 meetings at one time. That's it. Thanks.
Great. Okay. Thanks, Pat. And then again, if you have any questions, just continue to drop them in the chat and we'll get to them. So another kind of housekeeping item is email signature. And you may see if you've received emails from like the board that we're using almost more like little digital business cards, which AMC Source has done for us. But so I don't, you know, I'm not going to ask them to do that for every council committee member, but I would like to have you, if you're having some correspondence with official AMA Alliance business, to try to use this email signature. And I will send this to everybody as like a Word document so you can cut and paste it into your own, you know, email, either, you know, systematically into your email system or as you need to use it for correspondence. So just, if you can use it, that would be great. So let's look at the year ahead. It feels like, you know, the annual meeting just happened, but here we are, you know, almost a month out. So we have a 5-year strategic plan, which was developed last August at the board retreat hosted in Vegas. So we're going to try to get that strategic plan really condensed down to a nice synopsis and in a manner that can be presented to our membership. That will guide us as we develop the plan of work at our board retreat scheduled for the first weekend in August. So we hope there to really look ahead to the year and get that plan in place. We want to leverage the physician family experience survey results. We just heard, you know, for those of you who are able to be at the annual meeting, we just heard a report from Dr. Sotil about some of the preliminary results. But now we need to say, how do we further glean more information from those results? And then what are we going to do with the results? What is it telling us? What do physician families need? How can the AMA Alliance meet them where they are and provide that support or whatever is needed? We need to know how we can be there for our physician families. The third thing, I think this you know, was developed last year, the interactive map. If you go onto the public landing page, there's an interactive map and you can click on these little dots and see an alliance that's close to you, either at the state or at the county level. So I would like to further try to populate that map so people can connect with alliances in their area. We're also offering the state landing pages. So if your state does not have a website, there's at least someplace that they can go to say, you know, contact me or whatever, contact us, and it'll connect them with a person to learn about the state alliance in their local area. We'd like to continue to try to build resources for our states and counties. That is part of the strategic plan. I think we need to try to focus on that. It's tough to do all things for all areas, you know, because I know we definitely have national members, folks that don't have state and county alliances close to them. And I know we need to do some things for them as well as our states and counties. And it's just balancing how much are we doing for these different stakeholders. So we'll just have to kind of try to figure out what we can do to service both, but definitely we want to continue to focus on building up resources for our states and counties and keeping them as healthy and vibrant as possible. We'd like to rebuild the project bank. Jacqueline had such an aggressive plan last year, and she has accomplished so much. But the project bank was one thing I think really wanted to populate more. And so I'd like to continue that into this year and see what we can do to build that. Barb Savage, Mindy, you're on the call. I'm working with Nancy Schneider on there to look at things from AHEI, develop maybe a standard template, get a lot of that information into the project bank so we can have that as a resource, an idea bank for all of our alliances. We want to elevate advocacy and legislation, and Beth is going to take us forward in that direction. So we'll look forward to see how that develops. And finally, we want to collaborate with the AMA and with our affiliate partners, the AMA Foundation, AHEI, to see how we can further amplify our voices. So I did want to share a few dates of note. The first one is a leadership summit. And basically this is a gathering of leaders, and actually it's going to be open to all members, but really to kind of say, okay, I have this feedback from all of you on what thing do you need as a leader for your state and county alliances. And then let's talk about it and see what can be developed or what exists in the AMA Alliance to help you do your work at the local and the state level. So that's going to be kind of a summit, a gathering of minds. That's July 20th at noon. So that's kind of our first quote unquote all member call, because I'm going to put it out to everyone. Early August is our board retreat here in North Carolina. So we'll take some of the input that you all give us in that leadership summit, and also looking at the strategic plan to try to get our plan of work laid out for the year. Physician Family Day is that Saturday in August. Of course, we can all celebrate anytime in August or September or whenever it is, but just be able to get together as a physician family and celebrate. The North Central Regional Meeting, we have dates and we have a location. So that's great. It's going to be in Minneapolis, September 21st through 23rd. I believe they're starting kind of with like an evening reception kind of thing, Thursday evening, meeting Friday, and then Saturday, try to wrap up by noon so people can get back to their families and spend Sunday with the family. We'll celebrate the 20th anniversary of SAVE, October 11th. And that's a great program that's just so evergreen because we know bullying is still around, and we have several alliances that's kind of like a project they continue to like to do every year. The AMA interim meeting that we'll be going to up in the Northeast is November 11th through 14th. And I would welcome any alliance members who might be there with your spouse to join us. We should have a table again and to try to connect with our AMA partners there. January, our AHEI grant applications open. And also mid-January or so, our awards submission applications will open. Doctor's Day, we celebrate March 30th. And then tentative dates, this is tentative because we really haven't nailed it down, for next year's annual meeting back in Nashville. Similar meeting time, May 31st through June 2nd. So starting Friday, ending up on Sunday, similar to this year. I kind of look at the dates around that time. AMA meets the next weekend. The weekend after that in June is Father's Day. And then it's, everybody's on, it's holiday, it's summer. So I think really that's probably the best weekend for us. So now we just have to get all of our arrangements in place so that we can officially say that is no longer tentative, but where we're going to end up. And other than that, I actually think at this point, I have covered what I wanted to cover. And I would be open to any other questions or discussion points if anyone has something. I see there's a few more things in the chat. Pat, is there anything else?
Actually, the only thing that I noticed just now and responded to was where is interim, and it's in National Harbor. Maryland.
Maryland. Yep. Not Hawaii. Not Hawaii.
No, but I do get to go to Orlando next year.
Yay! Next year in Florida.
So be president-elect and you can come with me to Orlando next year. Is that a good enough incentive? I will
That's
meet
a good
my
incentive. I say, hey, Florida. All right. Any other questions or discussion for any?
Rachel, can we get a copy of all these slides?
Yes. I will be happy to, if it's okay with you guys, I will email you all these slides as well as just a Word document that has the email signature. Happy to and actually I'll just upload this to Google Drive and then you all will have access to it there. That's the thing. So, you know, in general, we want to use that Google Drive as our go-to place that has the most up-to-date and all the information there. So we can, that's kind of your go-to place. So get used to, right? We should all get used to going there to find that information. Sometimes I know it might be hard to find it, but really it's just kind of a discipline of going out there to look for it. And so yeah, so I will go ahead and email it to you as an attachment, but I'll also give you a link in our Google Drive so you can get to that as part of the follow-up. Thank you, Rick. Anything else? Mindy's hand is raised. Hey, Mindy.
I had to unmute, sorry. Question about the Google Drive. I assume it's going to be a discrete file because I've got like 1 million files on my Google Drive that I share with my son. So, well, that'll be distinctly.
Yeah, I can share that as a single document. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yep. Thank you.
I can do that. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you know, as you get into your work, right, your committee will have their own Google Drive, and you'll work within that Google Drive. But this will be outside of that, so I'll just share it. I can share it with everyone.
Okay, so, but I'm saying, but when you say you'll have to look for it, it would say something like AMA Alliance, yada yada yada, so we would know what it is. Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Mindy, everything is very well documented. Like the folders have appropriate names on them so that it might say, you know, Finance Council, and anything within there would be, you know, if you were looking for a Finance Council document, et cetera. So, and your chair would share with you the access only to the folder that's relevant to the work that you're doing, so that you won't have to look through every single file to find something you might be interested in. So it'll be clear.
Thank you, Donna.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, that's interesting. Well, let's think about organization. You know, Diane and I are still kind of working through the organization of Drive. So we'll make sure we do it in a hopefully logical. I know with Dinah will keep me straight. It will be done well. So
two engineers' minds can manage this one.
And let's see, anything else coming before us? And if not, I thank all of you for your time, and I'm really looking forward to getting going on our new year. So thank you so much.